Fi and Eric Sheetsaver. We're going to be talking through this 7-gamer for MLB and then touching on the NBA afterwards. Sheets, has anything really changed for you since the beginning of the day with MLB? I know it's pretty rare that happens, but I'm curious sort of where you're at.
Yeah, so I decided that I was going to get a little cavalier and kind of stand by my take from earlier. We'll get to that. I mean, as far as the projections go and just normal builds, San Diego showing up a little bit, but I'm getting some different stuff. So I'm forcing in the Alec Marsh. I just decided I'm going to do it, and that's just what I'm going to do. I also kind of trimmed back my pitchers a little bit. I'm only using 5 pitchers, and it's going to be mostly it's going to be Joe Ryan, John Gray, Clark Schmidt, Alec Marsh, and Garrett Crochet. Mm-hmm. I'm not using any others. And then when it comes to stacks, it depends on the the tournament. Like in the big ones, I'm actually, what am I doing in the big ones? I thought I was doing something else. Yeah, I'm going to be playing some Texas actually.
Ooh.
And some Minnesota. I'm playing Minnesota in both the big buy-ins, and in one of them I'm using Texas, and the other one I'm using San Diego. And that's where I am right now.
I love it. So we could say somebody's got to win, but this time it might be both of us losing or winning, because I am with you on the Alex Marsh thing. I just don't see a big enough gap between all these pitchers where he should be 0% owned versus everybody else. I don't even think that they're that different straight up, and I really just don't understand why no one will play him. So I'm with you on taking a shot there. I think that's a cool one. I am all over the Joe Ryan. I honestly haven't built a lineup yet without Joe Ryan, just because I will have a few. I'll probably use a little bit of Crochet, Arrighetti, and I think that the best, look, I like the Texas idea. At the same time, if you want to get creative and go for it, maybe taking some Bryce Miller is not a bad idea to play with Joe Ryan and hope you get all the points, I guess. Sure. I'm annoyed that I'm playing Clark Schmidt as much as I am.
What?
I'm annoyed about playing as much Clark Schmidt as I am, but
yeah. Well, you know what? Just for funsies, I have about 28% Oakland in the lottery. So
there you go.
There you have it.
There you go. That makes some sense.
Yeah.
All right. So what are you doing then? What stacks do you have as priorities here?
Yeah. So again, it depends on the buy-ins or whatever, but I keep getting back to Minnesota. They're just too cheap. These guys are in the right part of the lineup. You get Buxton cheap as well. I keep getting back to them. I'm getting, again, this Texas thing, but I certainly won't dispute the other side of that as well, like you were saying. Houston, I'm getting some in the a decent amount, believe it or not, in the lottery, which is kind of scary considering the conditions.
Yeah.
And not too much not too much of the Padres in the smaller buy-ins, not too much Colorado in the smaller buy-ins, and as usual, I'm not getting much Atlanta just because you have to pay, there's pricing involved, and that's the part, that's the one that scares me a little bit, and not much Yankees. I would like to get some of both of them, but I just can't quite seem to do it.
So those are my two primaries, is the Yankees and Braves, and I understand that there's going to be some ownership, especially on the Braves side, but I don't think it's going to be that. I don't think it's going to be enough to keep me off it. Let's put it that way on a 7-game slate. I also don't think. I think the Yankees will be the far lower owned of those two, and I like getting to some Yankees today. I'm in on that idea. I'm with you on the Minnesota being cheap, and with these young guys, you can always get that weird outlier, just I struggle game, and then also you've got a terrible bullpen behind him. I could see Minnesota being a viable one. They're a team we used to like to play against lefties. Now there's always pinch hit risk and stuff with guys literally in the middle of their lineup, but they're so cheap. I think that's how you can make Atlanta and New York work. Now the Padres, this is not a day where I will avoid the Padres. I just am avoiding 5-man stacks. I basically will probably end up getting to like some of every Padre. I think the situation is better than the other ones have been for them. This is a day where I do expect them to close strong, and at 73 degrees there, I just think against Ty Block, I think I have to be like, using the Padres as filler along with the Minnesotas. But if you wanted to do I was looking at like a 4-4 Minnesota Padres stack, I think is still good enough to get different. I don't know if you go 5 Padres, how it's just going to be hard to get different. But I do. This is probably of all the days we've talked that I've liked the chalk the most. I actually do like San Diego.
Well, I mean, it is a 6.2 total. I mean, it's a big number.
Yeah, and it's better hitting conditions than we've seen most of Coors this year. And Colorado with block, it's just block is terrible. Like, I don't know. Like, I feels like it could be a big game. I just don't want to do the full 5-man stack of 30% owned offenses. Okay. Well, I mean, that's sort of the main one. I was looking at some, I thought it'd be interesting to touch on some of the value plays that you're going to see out there today. I like the Minnesota value as we sort of were talking about. And I just feel like a lot of the other value that I like is getting a little underprojected. I mean, you've got Rosario at third base, who's 3,100 for San Diego. That's some chalk that I might eat just because of the price. You've got, other than Minnesota, you have some Toronto pieces like Vogelbach that are cheap enough. Certainly,
he's still doing it, huh?
I mean, doing it would be a strong word.
But doing it means doing his thing. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I don't know if he's hit a home run in I don't know how long. I don't know when he's played even. To be honest,
I mean, there's him and who's the congener, his twin, the Rowdy Tellez. It's the same.
Oh yeah,
same guy as far as I'm concerned.
Tellez, I've always kind of like. He can't move so much that he literally like can only DH. All right. And by the way, that Oakland stuff, like again, I don't think Clark Schmidt is like an ace. And you've got like Ryan Noda leading off at 2,800, Tyler Nevin at 2,500 batting second. It's an ugly Oakland lineup. I'm gonna play Clark Schmidt, but I think it does make some sense to use, between Minnesota value and Oakland value at low ownership. I think they're both pretty interesting to get different. So I'm sort of on board with all of that. Guys, fire in any questions and thoughts, and we'll go from there.
Yep.
Okay, sorry about that. All right. And I don't really. This is the thing I run into with baseball sometimes. Is after we do the going through all the stuff early in the day, it all makes sense. It all like we go game by game. We talk about different ideas. We do all that stuff. It's kind of harder to do that because the NBA, the slate's totally changed from morning to night in regular season. With the MLB, like after I find myself at usually 10 minutes into the show, like done with talking about everything that I'm doing, and really just trying to hopefully field questions and thoughts. But
you know what we can do? I'll tell you what we can do. So I'm not playing FanDuel.
Okay.
So let's do some FanDuel builds.
Okay. I like that idea.
So let's do that. Okay. So again, what we do with FanDuel, but I did do the projections, and would be the process, I guess. Now, okay, so we're gonna do them both by SaberSim and kind of by hand. So while the SaberSim ones are building, I want to just kind of see, because I haven't even looked at the FanDuel projections yet. I mean, I did them, but let me just take a look and see what they look like. Are you playing FanDuel or no?
No.
Okay, so that's good. This way we can.
I did look at it, but I didn't.
Okay, 1 second. Because I'd be curious to see if there's anything different. No,
I'm trying to. What did I notice that was different? Let me grab my notes here. Let's get over there.
By the way, Mike Trout hit like a rocket ship home run today.
Did he?
Oh, it was crazy. And they're going to lose, but it was still like a crazy home run. All right, so I see, I mean, pretty much the same thing pitching-wise that I would see on DraftKings. I mean, like Ryan and Clark Schmidt like clearly. Okay, so should I say clearly the best? I would do the same thing, by the way, on FanDuel. Like, you know what I would do? I would play John Gray on FanDuel. That's exactly what I would. I mean, if this ownership I'm projecting at 9.6% is remotely accurate, as opposed to say 25 for both Ryan and Schmidt, that's what I would do if I were playing. If I were playing on FanDuel, I'll tell you what. You know who's nobody is playing is your Rolando Lopez on FanDuel. He's like 10-4.
Oh, I know. What's weird is I actually think he's going to get similar ownership on post. Well, he'll get a little more on DraftKings. For whatever reason, I'm showing him I'm showing him as like I've got Lopez as the 5th highest owned pitcher on FanDuel, which is still, I mean, the 5th.
Well, that's not that many. There's not that many. I mean,
why isn't he?
Right. Let's see.
Who's playing him over Joe Ryan? Come on.
All right, so let's build something. I'm not saying I'm not gonna put it in. Okay, we're just gonna build something. Let's build. What do we want to build? Let's build. The monsters. 25K for first. Well, let's see what it looks like, and then maybe we'll play it. All right. So we're gonna start with John Gray. That's what we've decided. Now let's take a look at the stacks and see what they look like. And again, this is the way I do the hand build stuff. I use my sheets and then I take a look. So I'm ranking these guys like I'm like the right here, and I see Toronto and San Diego stand out, and then Seattle, Yankees, pretty spread out. Atlanta maybe, and then when you look over here again, San Diego, Atlanta, Yankees, Toronto, same guys. And I see Toronto is being pretty low owned. I also see Texas as being low owned and the Yankees being low owned or lower owned, like than say San Diego or Atlanta.
Yeah.
So what if we did like, I think Yankees and Toronto would make sense, maybe, or Yankees and Texas again. These are the same guys I'm playing. Well, I'm not playing Toronto. I'm playing Marsh, so I'm not playing Toronto. But let's start with the Yankees and see what that would look like. So let's just say we want to play these guys that, like, without any regard.
You can play everybody you want to.
Yeah, so let's just say Judge is 3,600.
Yeah.
God. Okay, so let's then do Rizzo. Wait, hold on. We'll do Stanton.
Yeah, the Yankees are super cheap.
Then we'll go Rizzo. The hell of it.
Interesting. You've got a different take than most people. People in DFS, for whatever reason, they really hate playing Anthony Rizzo.
Really?
Like even today, like he's projected as on FanDuel as the 7th highest owned Yankee.
All right. Well,
and he's cheap. No, I'm in on it. I like it. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I'm just saying.
So if we did this, then we'd have 3,400. I mean, the only thing I would really change is maybe Rizzo for like Volpe or something like that.
Sure. Or Glaber.
Yeah, but okay. So
you got the Soto, Stanton, and Judge, and then you've got. I love that. That's awesome. And you've got plenty of money to spend.
And I have plenty of money to spend. I wonder if. So I really don't want to play San Diego, Atlanta because they're just too popular.
But are you with John Gray's being so low owned? Don't you think you could maybe take, especially
it matters?
So I was saying that 555 for 25K for first, where there's only 200 people. I actually don't think I would worry about it that much. But if it was the lottery and I was building a lineup or something like that, if there was 1,000 people, I would absolutely not do it. That would just be.
Oh wow! So you could play. Oh my god! So the Ha-Seong Kim you could play in 100 positions. They're not very cheap over here, the San Diegos.
No,
you can't really get that.
Oh, you could get most of it.
If you play these Yankees,
Rosario, you've got the cheap Rosario, who's a guy I think you'd want anyway at 2,700.
What other guys? Now the wind and the weather is still crappy in Houston,
and in Chicago, yeah.
I'll tell you who was low owned. The aforementioned Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, but yeah.
And then if you do that, I could play guys that I've heard of, sort of. Well, hold on. I could certainly Garcia's 2,800. Play him in any position. I could probably play Bobby Witt too. Oh, easily. And then take my next two favorite Kansas City guys. This is I don't think many people are having this combination. I'm not going to fill this in. But boy, oh boy, I just might do it. Ugh. Just might do it. Well, I'm gonna unshare this. Well, actually, I'm not gonna unshare the screen. I'm gonna unshare this, and let's go back to the. I just want to save something. Oh, I can't put anybody else from Kansas City in that spot. I'm gonna save this just in case. All right, so I guess I am gonna play. All right, so we're gonna save. I'm gonna do something there. All right, so according to FanDuel, when I build these, I'd be getting like 80% Ryan and 20% Schmidt, and that's it. Okay. And when it came to the stacks, well, first thing I'd probably do if I were building is get rid of the 3-2s and the 4-2s and the 4-2-2s. That's just me, though. Bobby wouldn't probably get rid of those. But, here's an interesting thing, by the way, the FanDuel with SaberSim. 4-3s are always the most produced stack.
Which is why I like the 4-2-2s and the 4-4s.
No, I mean, I would imagine it would have been the 4-4s.
4-4s get weird, and the reason it's never going to be the most popular is because if you want to use a pitcher from the game, you can't do that.
That's true.
So I don't think I think it's probably part of it.
So if we want to do a contest sim, like for example, let's just do MME. I would just put it in here. I'd use flagship MME, just the main. Let's say the main thing, and let's just see what that would look like. Who's pitching for Toronto? Okay, like freaking Roger Clemens?
I think it's Toronto's. That's why I think Kansas City's definitely my least favorite stack of any stack. It's a bullpen game with a guy who's basically been unhittable.
That guy.
And it's not good hitting conditions with wind blowing in. So there's nothing I like about them specifically. Now they have the power to do it as an offense. They've proven that so far, but it's just not for me. It's just not where I.
No, that's totally fine. So when we apply the contest sims, I'd be curious to see what we get here. That would be, hold on, you gotta move this. It's a little cumbersome sometimes. Okay, MME. Then I'd be getting more of what would I be getting? Team stacks, 52% Houston. Oh my God, no respect, and of course 20% White Sox. And the aforementioned 20% Kansas City. I'm telling you, man. SaberSim, they don't mess around, man.
No, they go for it, huh? That's crazy.
They don't mess around. The Houston thing's interesting to me. Is it wind blowing in, or it's just the weather, or it's just the
wind blowing in and it's cold?
Yeah, I don't think we can do that.
And the thing is, like, we haven't seen Houston hit when it's warm, when it's anything yet.
Right.
They've just been a really bad baseball team.
Yeah.
But this kid they have up there, the Arrighetti, he's supposed to be something.
God damn, you're back to this Arrighetti thing, huh?
He's supposed to be something. I'm just telling you, he's
supposed to be something, you're saying.
He's supposed to someday be something. We don't know if he's there yet. We don't know how much he's going to throw, but he's supposed to someday be something. Well, it's better than mentioning Tyon again, because I know you're going to say no to Tyon.
Yeah, I know. I hear you.
I feel like if we had like a really whatever, we were on First Take or something like that, and we had a producer go back, I bet you every time we've mentioned Tyon that you've been just like, no. Like you just immediately have a reaction.
Right. No, there was one time, I remember there was a podcast once or like whatever where Kurt Schilling was on or something, and he was touting Jameson Tyon as like the next big thing or something.
Oh yeah. It shows what he knows about baseball. He made some of the dumbest baseball. Like anyway, I'm really happy not to see that guy on TV anymore. All right, what else have we got? Should we talk a little NBA?
Yeah, I'm trying to make this
Oh, make that work first. Yeah,
make this thing work. Is there a good one-off for 2,800 I could play
on FanDuel.
in FanDuel? There's got to
Oh,
be a million.
yeah. Well, I like the kid. I mean, the kid from San Diego.
Who?
He's 700, the third baseman, Rosario.
And there you have it.
He's batting 7th, but I actually like him a lot. I think it's a good. It doesn't matter.
You know what he's batting for me? He's batting 10th, which 9th, which means that's in the utility spot.
Yeah,
that's where he's batting for me.
I get it.
So just so you guys know, we're playing on FanDuel.
There it is. Now when you win all the money on FanDuel,
play it on FanDuel. So what were you saying? Basketball? Yeah. So you know what I like? I for those of you that weren't here at noon, I don't think it's gonna be particularly earth shattering, but I definitely want to play a bunch of Larry Nance, and I'm down with your idea of playing both of them as well for the Pelicans. The guy I want to talk to you about though is Jovic, because he's playing again today. He's probable.
Yeah,
he's showing up. So what do you think of him?
I'm playing him.
Okay, well there you have it. Okay, that's it. There you go.
Yeah, it's really hard not to get overweight. Like the builds are going to force you into doing to not getting overweight. They're going to be lower on Boston and higher on the Miami guys. At least I feel they should be. Well, none of the Miami guys feel like you can know who it's going to be or whatever, or how much they're going to lose by. And there's so many narratives out there about everybody just thinks that this game, there's no chance that could stay close. I think it's likely to be true, but I mean, it's starting to get Miami. I saw some places were offering plus 900 for this game. That seems a little excessive. Plus 900, even without I don't know. It just feels too strong to me. So I like the idea of, trying to force in some more of the, a lot of people I think are actually, when they're hand building, are not going to get to as much Boston. And yeah, Tatum and Brown and Kristaps will have some ownership, but I think it's going to be lower than it's actually projected, except for Tatum. I think the other two will be a little bit lower, so I'm trying to get some of that. And on the Miami side, I really have everybody who's going to play for them in different lineups one way or another, because I don't think they even know for sure what's going to happen. The one that the two that may be the most interesting is that Tyler Hero is not getting ownership without, imagine if this was a team we thought was going to be a 2-point spread. And by the way, if the game's within 20 points, Tyler Hero would be on the court. And yeah, it's a tough matchup individually, all the things. But he's going to be the lowest owned Miami player. That seems a little off to me. He and Caleb Martin, and both of those guys, if Miami's going to stay in the game, probably one of those guys is having a big night. The most logical one is Hawkes to me. Bam would be Jovic be number 2. Bam would be number 3. But I like the idea of getting overweight Hero, Caleb Martin, and Kevin Love, who will be the lowest. And along with Robinson, they'll be the lowest owned portions of Miami. So that's one thing I'm doing. And then I am just forcing in, the Boston, trying to get a Boston guy on the other side, because I'm going to have 3 or 4 from Miami, and just sort of hope that game stays close. And then you've got, and even if it doesn't, what is Boston, they're not going to bring in their bench up 20. It'll have to be up 35 late in the third for them to take their starters out. Even then, you probably get a couple starters still in.
Let me take a look and see what my ownerships look like on that slate.
I like the New Orleans. I mean, the New Orleans is the most appealing side of everything. But like we talked about, Nance is going to be the lowest owned portion of it. And I've been doing this every day with Nance. It's just playing him every day because he's closing. And the only problem is in this matchup, they really don't have an answer for Valanciunas. But that's why I said maybe we play them together and get really different.
My highest owned player on the slate is it's right now. I mean, I have between Valanciunas and Nance, I have 100%. In other words,
yeah,
I have 56. I think I have 56 of one and 45 of the other. And I probably have them both in some.
We're going to have some similar builds tonight because I'm basically the same.
And then my next highest owned guy is actually Shea.
Shea is my highest owned guy of any player. My second highest owned guy is a gulp, and this is the speculative play that I'm going to be making tonight. Certainly in the all the $20 and all that. So There is a lot of speculation that Giddey's going to be less of a guy in this series. There's just so many wings for New Orleans, and Giddey can't really defend them. The best defensive player that they have available to probably guard those guys outside of Lou Dort, who can only guard one of them, is Cason Wallace. And Cason Wallace is not a great fantasy producer. We all know this, but he's 3,500. And he played 18 minutes in the first game. He only had 8 fantasy points. It's going to happen. Like, I just want the minutes. If I can get him up to 20 minutes, I'll feel good about the play. And I think there's a chance he might play like 26 minutes. Like, I think that's actually on the table. And that's worth it for me at 3,500. So right now, Cason Wallace is my biggest differentiator because he's going to be like 10% owned. And I am going with the theory that they're going to end up using him more, potentially, likely closing with him, potentially over Giddey. So I'm low on Giddey, high on Wallace. I even have some Isaiah Joe because I think that's another thing they could do. And then I'm going to be all over the Lou Dorts and all those value things. I actually found that on this slate there's so much potential value that like it's easy to play any of the studs, and there's also less studs. We don't have the Embiid, Jokic, or whatever. But Shea is almost like in my big buy-ins. I don't want to say he's a lock, but he's going to be at 80% of my lineups. Like, I just don't know how I'm not playing him or why I'm not playing him. I think because you have these value things, though, that Brandon Ingram and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum are getting tons of ownership, and I get it. Like, there's no Zion, all this stuff. I like the idea of using one of them, but I actually think being underweight both those guys and then playing more Trey Murphy, both Valanciunas and Nance, we mentioned, along with Herb Jones, is the route that I'm like electing to go. Just a little bit differentiating with my builds. I just don't think that's what people are going to do.
I'm getting a bunch of aside from the guys that you've mentioned already, like I'm like 50% Jalen Williams from OKC, the JALEN. Aside from that, I don't have too much funny business. I like your idea. What's it, Carson Wallace? That's his name?
Cason Wallace, yeah.
Cason Wallace?
Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins are the two. We don't really know what to expect. And I think you could take a shot on either of those guys. So I'll probably use a little less of my Wallace and switch over to some Wiggins. I do have a bunch of Isaiah Joe. So I think that it's really just about how you're building and what you're going to speculate on and how it plays out. The other guy to speculate on to me again, this is large field. This is not something you don't need to at me and criticize me for calling this out as a play. But Jalen with the Y Williams, who only played 6 minutes in the last game, if they're getting torched by Valanciunas, he's the other guy I think you could pair with Valanciunas in the utility as a center. He's going to have zero ownership, like literally like 1%. And he can produce in a hurry. And if Chet gets into foul trouble, if they don't go small, which they probably will, and they'll probably use Kenrich Williams, but if they don't, and if they want to try to match up closer to size with Valanciunas, it's going to end up being Jalen Williams.
I have
speculation here.
I'm going to be playing all the showdowns, and look, this isn't a big percentile, but I just thought I'd let you know that I do have in that New Orleans game, just because there's like it's like the billion people in that one, so it's like better. I do have 10% Jalen with a Y Williams in the captain.
Oh, let's go. I love it. Guess who my captain is? My only lineup. My only one in the showdown.
Chet?
Cason Wallace.
There you go. And there you have it. I actually do have one with Cason Wallace in the captain.
Yeah. It opens up one. Everything.
I do have one. I have one with – I also have a beauty with Gordon Hayward as the captain.
Gordon Hayward in the captain. When that comes in, Sheets, you're gonna win. It's like the guy who won the $1 million when he played Josh Gordon, who wasn't even active that day, and he captained him. It was the only way you could get Mahomes and all the other guys. So he won $1 million with captaining a zero.
Did that really happen?
Yeah, it really did, because it's the only. It literally is practically all the 5 guys who scored. It was the only way to get them. So crazy thing.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to finish my builds pretty soon, guys. Any questions? Yep. We got some question here from Trip DFS Guru. What do you think of a Cruz, MLB and Bell? What? In a mini stack. Who's MLB?
Let me look at what he's saying.
I don't know who MLB is.
What do you think, Cruz? I think he's talking to Brandon Cruz, maybe. MLB and Bell in a mini stack.
I don't think second to Brandon Cruz. I don't think.
Yeah, because Cruz and Bell.
Cruz and Bell. Oh, the MLB thing threw me off. Okay, gotcha.
Oh, he's saying let's go showdown talk. So he is talking about that.
Oh no, that was Brandon jumping in because he was excited because me and Brandon jumped on with me yesterday.
Oh, Dela Cruz.
Cruz. Okay. That's why I was totally confused. All right, so, I have no issue with anything from Miami. So I would say, yeah, go ahead. I think that makes perfect sense. That's another way you can get different with and even potentially play a chalky stack. I like that. I'll definitely sign off on that one. I'm in on that trip. I think that's a good idea. No, so Brandon jumped on with me yesterday to talk showdown because he doesn't know anything about the NBA, but he's good at the showdown. He loves to do the showdown. So he's always like, he's got an interesting building process. And it was kind of nice talking with him yesterday, just seeing what that was. I'm totally on board with that, by the way. It's interesting because I've been saying that Lopez, that people aren't going to play Lopez, but at the same time, yeah, I have no issue with any of the Miamis. Really. I feel like Atlanta and the Yankees and the Padres are significantly better than everybody else, and then probably Colorado. And then after that, I think, outside of the White Sox, Cubs, and Houston for me, and the Royals, everybody else is totally in play to me. All right, I should go finish my builds shortly. Is there any other questions, guys? Any other thoughts? And if not, I can always leave you here with Sheets, who's definitely you want to be listening to him anyway. I haven't been. This has not been my time, but it's coming. It's coming back. Baseball has been okay so far, so we're gonna hit that big one at one point. No, I actually did a public apology in the State Kings Discord chat today.
Oh no!
I know. I just said I'm just really sorry. It's just not been my year so far, but there's plenty of time. Houston, Cubs, Miami. The Cubs are an interesting contrarian one because I'd be playing them like crazy if the weather was a little different, but couldn't do it with this weather. All right, Sheets, do you want me to leave it on or get out of here? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm getting out of here.
Okay. All right. Have a good night, Sheets. Good luck to all you guys. Let's see some screenshots in the Discord. Oh, we got one more thing. Luke keeps asking about. Do you have any NHL takes you want to throw out there?
No.
Okay, there you have it.
I mean, I just ran. I played. I just ran my stuff, and I went through the process of how to do it like too many times.
Cool. So the answer is in the projections.
Yep, pretty much.
With projections. All right. Good luck, everybody. Good luck, Sheets, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Sheets will be out tomorrow and Friday. I will be solo, but I will try to get Rhodey or maybe we'll get Brandon to talk a little showdown stuff again. That was kind of fun yesterday, so try and do a little bit of that. So, all right, guys, have a great night.
One thing, I did put the MMA DFS video up a day early this week, just because I know I'm leaving tomorrow, and I'll try to get the betting thing up and the lineup construction thing. I'll do the best I can.